is, Kyle, before we all dive in, do you have anything that you want to say here to Holly by way of greeting? Would you please?
Hello!
That's my ringtone. Before we get into the return, I'd love to talk to some of the original cast about the legacy of Peaks and what the last couple decades were like without it, and then how you were summoned back into it by David and Mark. Starting with Kyle, when it ended, did you always feel like there was going to be more?
Actually, no. I figured that was the end. Although David and I are good friends and we visit with each other frequently, and I would always, during the conversation, and they were always a couple of hours of just sort of revisiting old territory, I would always say, you ever think about maybe going back to Twin Peaks? Maybe. And David was always just kind of very non-committal about it, and he never sort of said yes or no, but it was definitely probably a no at that time. So.
And then what happened? Was it a phone call? Was it a...
It was a cryptic phone call. So he called and said, I needed to speak with you. And I said, okay. And he said, but I can't speak to you over the phone about this. And I was like, okay. So I knew either I was in trouble for something, or he wanted to talk about something that I hoped he wanted to talk about. So we met in a hotel room in New York, and he had coffee there, which is always nice. And he said he and Mark were writing and had found a way back to Twin Peaks, and was I up for the journey? And I said, I've never left Twin Peaks, David. I said, I'm ready to go.
Everett, I think that I heard or read somewhere that had you not answered a very specific phone call, did David and Mark like tweet out, how do we get in touch with you? How did that all happen from your perspective?
Well, I heard Mark told me that David was going to go out to his Twitter crowd and see whether or not someone knew about my whereabouts. And somebody sent him a telephone number of an empty house I have where I keep a couple of vintage cars. And I just happened to be there. I show up at this place maybe every couple of weeks to drive the cars. I got this yellow rotary phone hanging on the wall, and it rings. I haven't heard this damn phone ring in 10 years. And I picked it up as David. For some strange reason, it felt so comfortable. I hadn't spoken to this guy in 20 years. It was like we picked up a conversation we just left off the day before. So it was sweet, it was warm. Oddly enough, we didn't talk about Twin Peaks. But we shared a lot of our memories together, some of the time we spent on Dune, and of course Twin Peaks. And he said, hey man, I need a telephone number where I can be in touch with you. Is this a good one? I said, man, this is not a good one. So we exchanged numbers, and in a while he got back to me and he said, we're going to do Twin Peaks. And I said, what? Missed 25 years, man. They're going to put you in jail. You're breaking some kind of law. But he said they're going to do it, and I said, well, you just call me when it's time to suit up. It's great, by the way. It was a fabulous feeling, a warm, wonderful, womb-like feeling to be around him, because he's a funny guy. He's very clever. He knows how to get a performance. He knows how to dig deep. And I love coming back. It's a long time. 25 years is a long time.
We're really glad that you came back. Dana, I heard you were actually heading to a fan convention with Cheryl when you heard that there was something in the works. Well,
yeah, we were heading to the Twin Peaks UK Festival, 2015 probably. And it had been, you know, rumored, and the tweets had come out about the gun coming back in style and all that stuff. So we kind of knew what was going on. And then, you know, Cheryl was on the way to the airport, and David called her and said, you know, it's going to happen, you're in it. And then she said, well, I'm going to go see Dana in London in a few hours. Is he in it, or can I tell him? So he said, yeah, Dana's in it. And so we didn't know in what capacity or anything about it, but then we were in it, and so we just, you know, got to, it was the best trip to London I think I've ever had. Just walking on there the whole time. Super fun. We used to send pictures, we were sending pictures to David West on the London Bridge and stuff. There's Bobby and Laura. That's it. So that's how I went.
And James and Kimmy, what about you guys? Where were you when you got the call?
In bed.
Mind blown. I was about 100 miles away from my house, and I immediately got up, put my stuff together, went back to my house, and I just lost it. I didn't know what to do. It was wonderful.
I was in bed, the phone rang, I answered it, which I never do. But I answered it because first I got a text. It was Sabrina Sutherland asking if she could call me, which that's what you do in LA. You have to ask if it's all right if I could call you. I said yes. She called me, I answered the phone, and she said, I have David Lynch for you, would you like to speak to him? And I went, yes. He told me, and as he was talking, I slid off the bed, down the bed, which was really high at the time. By the time I was done talking to him, I was looking at the bottom of my bed. I had somehow crawled all the way under the bed. Because it was just so unexpected.
Naomi, you've worked with David before on Mulholland Drive. Amazing movie. How did you get recruited for Peaks? And more importantly, what, if anything, did you know about Janie E. before you said yes?
Okay, the first part, I've definitely stayed in touch with David since Mulholland Drive, and you know, we get together and go up to his house and we chat a bit, and I had actually gone up there maybe, I don't know, a year ago or more than a year ago with Laura Dern, who's sadly not here today. And we were trying to coax him into some ideas and get something going. Kind of, you know, that's what you do with David. Come on, hire me again. It's just so good to be on a set with him or just in a room. Anyway, he was talking about some ideas as he smoked and smiling a lot, but not really saying yes or no, like your conversation went down. And then finally, I heard the rumor that Twin Peaks was happening, but I wasn't part of that original team, obviously. So it would be wrong for me to be pushy about it, but you know, I dropped some hints. And then finally I did get a call and said, Naomi, come up to the house. I want you to read something. And I said, okay, sounds good. And he just gave me an envelope, gave me a cup of coffee, sat me in his chair that he built, and next to a table that he built. And I sat there for a good hour or so and read these pages, but there was nothing, I don't know anything about what happened before my part or after, and you know, the scenes I was in, that's all he gave me, and some of the scenes, the lines were crossed out, so I don't know what was said. Only, you know, the back and forth between us. Dougie, lovely Dougie. Dougie!
So those pages, though, it was slugged as Dougie. You were in a scene with Dougie, but was it revealed to you that that character was going to be played by Kyle? Or
it was not told to me, but I certainly posed that question.
Copy that.
Which he did not clarify.
Matthew, I wrote a piece on the work that you've been doing in The Return, and it said, and I quote, "By conjuring up as much snot as a person could ever create, Lillard has turned Hastings into a memorable human character in a sea of Lynchian insanity. Many have compared your tearful performance to that of the incredible Ray Wise from the original series, who played Laura's Palmer's father, Leland. And I heard you came in cold, that you'd never actually, kind of...
Still haven't, bro.
You've never seen the original Peaks.
They're all still lovely. These people are amazing. I'm going to watch it tonight.
Are you watching this one, The Return?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think they're so lovely. I think it's weird. Anyone else? Super. If you're not a Lynchian, if you're not a Twin Peaks dude, you come in, it's a little strange.
My question for you would be...
You guys saw episode 8, right? That's crazy.
What is it, yet you feel like you fit in this world so completely, what do you think it is that David saw in you that made it invite you into this world?
I honestly have no idea how I got here. Look, I don't know. His casting process is very interesting. You sit in a room and somebody talks to you and they put a video camera on your face and you're just talking about life in general and you get a phone call saying, I want you to come read these pages. So I literally was like, with my kids, I'm like, I have to go by this office and read the script. And my biggest fear is that I was going to do something horrible and naked in the show. When you're reading a David Lynch script, you have no idea where it's going to go. Yeah, it's a horrible thing. And then, I got to the scene that's in episode 9, and it was intimidating. It was the scariest thing I've ever read as an actor, just because in the middle of it, he's got a line that says the character breaks down hysterically sobbing. And you sort of know, being a fan of David's and being a fan of his movies, what that kind of looks like. So it was intimidating. And on that day, you sort of, in his world, you get 2 takes, and then you kind of come in, you do your thing, you move on. So you want to be really good really fast.
Mission accomplished.
You did.
Tim, you were a Peaks fan, and like a Dune fan, a Lynch fan. Is that accurate?
I was more of
a Eraserhead fan. I was, and Blue Velvet fan. And Mulholland Drive fan. So I was very, the idea of, a long time ago I played Gregor Samsa, who's the Metamorphosis character. I did it with Burkhart, and we did it in London on stage. And that's what Eraserhead was. That's a connection to that for me in a weird way. So I was a fan of that stuff. I wasn't somebody who'd seen who dealt with the whole Twin Peaks thing. I was busy dealing with the Quentin thing at that time. And so this was all new to me. I knew him from Dune, which I saw in the cinema in London, and but I was very, very new to all of it. Very new. I find it intriguing. I still do.
And you had never met David prior to working on this project with him?
No, I met his daughter. I hadn't met him.
And so what was the first meeting like? Did you get the job before you actually met him? Was there a phone call?
They called up and said, do you want to do Twin Peaks? I said, yeah. So, suck it in, man. I broke the law. Not supposed to swear. But and then I was working with, I can't say. Yes, I can say. with Jennifer Jason Leigh, and I just worked with her. So, and David had cast us in it completely independently of the play. He didn't even know that we worked together in it, I don't think. And so it was kind of a nice reunion for us.
Don, we've talked a lot about working with meeting David. Many of your scenes are working with Kyle. More importantly, the Dougie iteration of Agent Cooper or Kyle's performance. I don't quite know how to explain it. What is it like working with Kyle? What is it like working with someone else? You know?
How about that Dana turned out? I mean, Bobby he's look where he's come. Look how far he's come.
Bobby got a good arc.
Bobby got a good arc. Watching you grow as an actor has been great too.
I think they suck.
That's why I love it.
Just another quick question for the panel, and we're going to, if you guys want to start lining up for Q&A, we're going to get to that in just a minute. What is the question that you guys get asked the most often by either the fans, the media, even if you aren't allowed to answer it? But I'm just curious, what's the question that kind of keeps coming up now that Go Term is out there? Do you have one?
What's David Lynch like?
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
David Lynch like.
How do you even answer a question like that? What's David Lynch like?
Can I say?
What's David Lynch like?
He has this incredible sense of joy about him. It's actually an easy answer because he's full of joy and life, and he has this peace about him that's unlike anyone I've ever experienced. And he has a vision of what he wants. I don't know. He's a fantastic human being. So it's actually an easy answer.
He is fantastic. He's his belief in his process and his vision and his point of view is so profound and focused, and he inspires me that way because he follows this dream in his mind, and that I find that inspirational in my life to go after the thing that I believe in the strongest. It inspires me that way.
I think one of the most impressive things about David is that he really shows great appreciation for other people's work. And it's one thing that we all like is to be appreciated for our efforts. And he never fails to do that. So you go home after a day's work with David and you feel good about yourself and about the world because of having had that experience.
All right, guys, let's open it up to some of your questions. I still got a bunch more. Oh, excellent. The gentleman over there in the Spider-Man.
Nice to meet you all. My question is, what added story material do cast members bring to each episode?
I can tell a brief story about an actor who's not here named Jim Belushi. And in one scene, which, kind of a big scene, everything was going crazy, and Jim decided that he was going to ad-lib a line in this heightened moment of euphoria, which he did, and we heard, "Cut!" and he said there, and David has one of those megaphones, and he said, "Mr. Belushi, do I have to report you to the principal's office?" And Jim went, "No, sir, got it." I hope that helps answer your question.
Yes, sir.
How's it going, guys? I just want to say real quick, thank you for making unconventional television that stuff. It makes you think, and it's just...
question, and I'm sure someone should present it to David.
Mull it over, yeah.
But there's fanfic waiting out to be written there, so for you.
They'd be talking football.
Yeah, everyone knows that. Big football fans.
Yes. Hey there.
What gave you? Sorry, I have a problem with that.
Sorry?
I have problems with my microphone.
Okay.
It's okay.
What gave you the idea to do a movie?
Yeah, does anybody want to answer sort of why did you decide to become actors? Like, yes.
Firewalk with me?
Firewalk.
Yes.
I think, I was thinking back on what you were saying before, because I think obviously you can draw tremendous connections with Firewalk and Twin Peaks, of course. See a lot of similarities there, but to answer the question, I don't know. It's general, but when David calls, we answer the call. Wherever he goes, whatever he wants us to do.
Yeah, like literally anything, even getting a bunny suit. I don't know if anyone.
Is that a spoiler? Is that going to happen? No?
Oh, sorry.
No, that's
right. Well, I guess we can all go home.
project
We're in trouble now.
altogether.
Yes, sir.
Still her guts.
Yes, sir.
First of all, I want to say, Mr. MacLachlan, I'm a huge fan. I love that you're the mayor in Portlandia. I love that you're Captain George Van Smoot in How I Met Your Mother. I watched Dune as a kid, and of course, the Flintstones movie will always be in my heart. My question is, for the cast that's watching, do you guys watch the episodes and ask yourself, why is no one worried about Dougie?
I don't worry about that at all.
That's Janie's job. She worries about Dougie.
Yeah.
Doesn't worry about Dougie.
It is the immortal question. Obviously, you're probably the least qualified to answer this, but what do you all make of Dougie? What's your hot Dougie take?
He's hot.
Yeah. Any commentary, any thoughts?
I think it's very easy if you ever meet any families who live like out in the suburbs and you have kids.
Hot
Absolutely.
And wasn't Dougie ripped? Dougie was pretty ripped too, so
Yes.
that.
Yes.
No donuts for that month.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's such a pleasure to see the show back after 25 years. And my parents watched the series originally as it was airing in the 90s. So sitting down and watching it with them every Sunday, it really feels like it's come full circle. But a lot has changed in the past 25 years. So how do you think the internet has changed the production or just the quality of the show or the show itself? How's the internet played a role in that?
That's a great question. Yeah, Kyle, you were obviously
Just really quickly, I think, it made us very conscious. We made a real concerted effort to not let anything get out about the show. No spoilers, no anything, really. And I think the specter of social media and all that made everyone a little nervous, and we worked very hard to make sure that nothing got out in that way, which I think we were very successful with. So,
I know you're not allowed to speculate or demystify the show that we're currently watching, but do you start to cook up kind of your own theories? Are you aware that out there on the internet there are people who are watching these episodes hundreds of thousands of times, each episode trying to sort of unpack mystery and understand what's going on, and just since again you're not just in it but also watching it, what do you make of all that, all the theorizing? Fun, frustrating, both of the above?
I've never been asked how. I have a date. I read a date in episode 9, and I must have been asked 1,000 times what was the date that I wrote down. The 20th or the 29th.
What was the date that you wrote down?
I think it's the 20th, but it was like a year ago, and I have terrible penmanship. I can't tell. But the Zone, I mean, they went out and created the Zone, which is an online site that you can visit. It's real.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, starstruck around David because he's just so unique and he's like living on in another world. I mean, it's one that you look up to and want to be a part of. You just kind of want to please him in everything you do. That sounds weird. On set. But yeah, because he's I'm back from that. Yeah. No, it truly, that's not a joke. He creates such an incredibly imaginative world, and it's so original, and you just want to join that world at whatever cost, and you know it's going to be good because all his ideas are just completely original. Anyway, but thank you. Sorry.
Oh boy, this is going to be good. Go ahead, sir.
Diane, if I ever had the chance to meet the amazing crew of Twin Peaks, I would take that chance to ask Kyle what it was like to learn to speak and act backwards in the Black Lodge.
Well done. Carstel. That's less wrong. You know, I was very lucky that all I really had to do in the Black Lodge was occasionally walk backwards and sit down. And the other actors were all required to learn that dialogue backwards. It was extraordinary to watch the focus and concentration as they were able to deliver this indecipherable dialogue. And it was difficult, you know, but so highly effective, I think.
Is there a different...
Do it again. Scuba diving, I can't get away from that damn character. I don't want to be associated with him. I mean, I love him, Shaggy, but I would like that to be done, and I just want to be Bill Hastings forever. Back the planet.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you something, Matthew. In that scene, you left us other actors a lot to live up to. That was enormous performance.
Yes, sir.
First off, I just want to say I'm a big Newton fan, so it's a pleasure to meet Kyle and Everett. So, thank you, man. That's sweet. And my question is, this is going to sound bad. I haven't seen Twin Peaks, so how would you describe it in a nutshell?
That's great. That's a good one.
I think just throw the nut away.
Keep the shell.
Anybody else have a way of describing this show in a sentence or two?
It's very crispy and slightly beige.
Anyone else? No? It's challenging. Are you convinced? Are you going to watch it now, sir? Yes?
I hope so.
All right. Excellent. Yes, ma'am.
Moist.
The man who asked the previous questions seems to be in the same scenario as most of the actors up there who haven't seen it. But anyway.
Hey.
My question
They're waiting to binge it.
There's some shade, right?
My question is, Audrey Horne, as one of the most dynamic characters from the original. I'm wondering why she didn't have a romance be pursued with Cooper.
In this, what are you referring to?
Original?
In the original.
Because I saw it kind of going along the lines in the first season that she would kind of be his romantic interest, and then they kind of did away with that. So I was wondering why that didn't happen.
I mean, ultimately, I think I don't know. The writing went a different way, but I mean, she was high school student, and so I think they felt maybe. What? I think that had a lot to do with it. No?
Even in the early 90s, that was still frowned on. Yes, miss.
So we're not going to get together. My question's for the original cast. I was wondering what it was like stepping into your old characters after all these years.
Great question. Dana?
Well, I hadn't been in front of a camera in maybe 20 years, and so I was scared about that. It's kind of like a barrel of a gun or a cannon, and you can't bullshit it. And it'll shoot you dead if you try. So I was afraid maybe I wasn't able to go back to the emotions, that kind of vulnerability, being susceptible to the sensations and the emotions that are going on around you. So it's a big step for me. But seeing everybody on the set, seeing how warm and inviting David was, it was great.
I have something to say.
Let's hear it.
For me, it was all about the wool and the sweaters. Sweaters that Lucy always wears. Sorry, I'm dropping my
James, Dana, either of you, what was it like? I mean,
my thing is that I think it's so different from my character in a sense. So we'll just see. So I don't know. It's like the same yet different. And I think that's with Dana. He's the same yet different. You know, his heart is exposed. You can see who he is. You know, and in the beginning it was more like, you know, it literally is like, what did that kid turn out like? You know what I mean? So, you know, so when you come back in it, you're the exact same person, but no longer the same person. So, but it was effortless. To answer your question, it was more than effortless, like what Kyle said, and it was like literally family. Again, it sounds corny, like what everybody says, but this is the type of thing what Don said. Is he is the only set that I've ever been on where everybody across the board can say something, with the exception of one director who also is around the same, you know, size as where David is and stuff. It's very creative, but I've never seen anybody as creative as David and as giving and loving to his cast and the crew, and everybody was just, you know, the same. You know, he treats everybody. He'll take everybody as exactly gets the same respect, and that's just, it's a beautiful thing, and it makes it very safe and comfortable.